Okay, I am here, but I'm not hearing any audio, so can you let me know if you can hear me? And also let me know if you just heard music or not. My apologies for this beautiful mess over here. Okay, good. Did you hear any music? Okay, good. Okay, so just I can't hear the music, but you can. All right, let's have a look at this clone first here. So I'm going to do the final test, which is to see if the speaker now works. So just the quick recap. Last stream I did these caps, the 47s. These are the 33s there were 3 more of those that are now finished. So the board's entirely recapped. I replaced, I think, about 7 caps on this PCI riser and video, and 1 on the CPU card. I have not tested the G3 CPU, so I can do that as well. And then I've got this is just a normal ATX PSU hooked up to it. So I've not tested the audio yet. I'm going to do that right now. I've got these speakers. Hang on a second here. Sounds probably going to be terrible, but it's something. And as I recall, the let's see, I think the red one goes on this side. I think. I don't know. If it doesn't make a sound, I'll try it the other way and see what happens. So here we go. Powering. No. Okay, here goes nothing. I heard the sound. It was extremely faint, but I heard it. Let me see if I can put my mic up to it. So you'll have to let me know if the mic picked that up, but there it was. So that's something. I take it that means you heard something. Obviously, this speaker is about 1 million times smaller than the one inside the case, but it's perfect for testing. Okay, then I've got this other little thing that I ordered here, which is a set of things. And what this is going to do, if I can figure out which one goes to which, hang on. The power switch is the yellow one. Okay, so where we've got the little power switch header there, I'm going to plug this in. This is just some new testing stuff. Okay, and then we've got the reset button, which is the triangle button, I think. And then we've got an LED, which I don't know which side is plus and minus, and it doesn't say, but I'm going to assume if it doesn't work, I'll reverse it. But what this should do, and then that other one's for a fan, and that doesn't really apply here. Okay, so what this should do is the one with the yellow is now the power button. The one with the purple is the reset button. And the green LED should be for power on. So let's see what happens. There it goes. It turned on, but the LED didn't light up. So let's try reversing these. This is great because I can now sort of test pretty much any board like this, even without having it installed inside a case. But I can check things like power lights that normally I wouldn't be able to check. There we go. So the green light's on. Power button works. Let me see if the reset works. It does. I could hear the sound. Okay, so that means everything's good. Now let's have a look at what's on the screen. My mouse is not working great here. Here we go. Okay. We should be getting something. So because I've got the both RAM DIMMs installed here, it's got it's got more memory to test, so that's what makes that take longer. But there we go. We're getting a startup here. That's a good sign. And so this is booting currently off of a blue SCSI V2 internal, and this is just a normal OS 9 disk. Okay, this is just a blank volume I put on here. Let's go ahead and format it. So normally it would say Macintosh HD, but this being a clone, it would either have said Mac OS HD or just hard drive. And when I try to type that didn't work very well, did it? And there's no mouse for restart, but fortunately I have this cool button right here. So I can just go like that. Wow, I wish I could have done that the other day when I was testing. I had to keep switching the power supply completely off. So that's an improvement. Actually, I want to try to start up from a different disk. Let's try holding down keys for a different SCSI ID and hoping. I'm guessing an ID that will boot up to something else. Let's just see. And that exception or error or whatever you want to call it, that was not related to bad RAM or anything. That was an issue that unfortunately happens. Okay, so there we go. This may still be the same disk. Of course, it's the same disk. Okay. It's just a thing that happens. This machine obviously wasn't made for OS 9, and OS 9 wasn't made really with this kind of machine in mind. So let's see if I cancel that instead. Okay. So without a hard drive, I've got this. So now let's just see here. We can get 9.0. Okay. This might actually be a different disk than I thought. So this says it's running at 195 megahertz, and based on the benchmarks I did the other day, that seems to actually be the case. So that's kind of interesting. And then what else was I coming? Oh, memory. So 80 megs because it's got a 16 and a 64. So it's recognizing the RAM. I ran an extended RAM test, took quite some time, and it verified that all the RAM is good. The only thing that's missing out of this machine at this point is the cache that goes in the slot behind the CPU. However, if this is going to have a G3 upgrade card in there, then that cache isn't going to be used because there's already, you can't really see it, but if I hold this here, the camera doesn't want to hold still. But basically behind here, the CPU is behind here, and behind here there's two chips that are the cache there. Okay, so let me restart, or let me shut this down, and then I'm going to swap out the CPU here for this G3, and let's see if that starts up and what we get out of that. And Brian, let me know if there's anything else you want to see getting tested here. This is for your benefit. Okay, so we've got the G3 CPU going in. This darn camera, hold on. I don't know why it can't stay on me. Let's try this. We zoom out to see the whole mess. Hang on. If I manually bring it down here. Okay, there we go. Now, does it see me? Yeah, okay, now it follows me. So let me, though, switch to the bench camera here. So this is the G3 card. There's a bunch of dip switches up here, and there's also jumpers on the CPU. So this G3 that's on the card in there appears to be a normal one in pretty much every way, except it's got these jumpers here that I don't know what those are about. I don't think those would be setting speed because that's not normally set on the CPU itself. That would be set somewhere else on the board. So I don't know. And if you know, let me know. Okay. And if I can get this to line up, there we go. All right. So I'm assuming these dip switches are set suitably for whatever's installed on here because I don't have documentation to know what's right, but We will see. So I'm going to switch back to the monitor here and push my yellow power button. And here it goes. I heard the little chime. And there we go. Look at that. So I would say that conclusively proves that the CPU is working. There's an interesting flashing LED on the board. Let me just for fun here, I can get my little close-up cam here to turn on. Let's just see if I can show this. Yeah, of course we don't have it. See if I can get it to work. Something. Yeah, that's the wrong camera. That would be why. This. Okay, that's the sound of the camera connecting and disconnecting. Try connecting again. Mildly irritating. Okay, I guess I'm not going to get that camera. Anyway, you just have to trust me. There's a little blinking green light on this Accelerate upgrade card. Let's go back to the screen here. Okay, I don't dare try to type a volume name. That's what crashed it before. Okay, so now let's have a look at System Profiler and see what it thinks is in here now. And the sticker on here says it's supposed to be 450 megahertz, and this says 499. How about that? So I think there may be a multiplier somewhere that is set a little bit higher than it should be. It may be on the Accelerate card itself, or it may be on the logic board somewhere, because a link to the manual didn't change. Okay, so yeah, I could probably look up the manual. Oh, I didn't even notice there's wait, did I replace? Yeah, I replaced one cap on here. I didn't even notice there's two more on. What the heck? Okay, somehow I missed that there were two more caps on here. I replaced two of them, but there's two more on there, so I'll get those done. They're 47s, so which is weird because that's what everything else on all these cards was. Anyway, okay, so this is saying 500 megahertz, which is quite fast. So now I just want to see. I was hoping I had the same diagnostic. Oh, you know what? I do. I have. Where is it? It's going to be under. Maybe under here. Norton Utilities. There we go. Okay. Oh, it wants to install. Let's see if it can run. Okay. So this is what I use. Wait, where's system info? There it is. This is what I used. The computer's asking the same thing. Where's system info? Okay, let's try this again. System info. There it is. I don't know which volume that's on, but whatever. Okay. So I did the benchmarks before. Now that's funny. Here it's saying 195 megahertz. So there is something, but it shows as a G3. So there's something on, it's not on the CPU card because that number didn't change, right, when I swapped the card. So that means there's something on the logic board somewhere that is locked in on that number 195. And I don't remember seeing, it probably wouldn't be dip switches. It would probably be jumpers, but I don't remember seeing a cluster of jumpers like what the G3 board has. And so the only way, if there's not jumpers for that multiplier, then hang on, there is one jumper here. It says 5-volt cache. I think that's just for the voltage of the cache memory. That's an unusual thing to have a jumper for. Yeah, I don't think there's any other jumpers on this board. So what that means is The only way to change that speed that I know of without jumpers or dip switches, or like just soldering something together, would be replacing a oscillator on the board. And so like there's one here that says 14.31818, but that hasn't been replaced. There's no solder there. That's from the factory. Those are fuses. So I don't think it's a tiny one over here, but I doubt that controls the CPU. That's next to the CUDA chip. So I don't know. I'm looking right around the CPU and I don't see one. So this is a mystery to me. Oh, you know what? Actually, there are a bunch of positions here for resistors, some of which are not populated. I guess that's possibly something that would control it. I don't know. I don't see any more of those. So anyway, what's interesting though is like with the CPU cards, the Apple ones, like in this style, like what would come in a 7500 or something. Those have in fact, I have one here. They have some solder pads on the back that basically get soldered together, and that's what defines their speed. Which this could, I mean, the dip switches or whatever could, but the thing is, this 195 is a really weird number. And so for that to be showing up now when I've taken out the other card that had the supposedly 195 chip in it, that's too much of a coincidence. It just wouldn't be. And especially because that other one is labeled 180 and this is labeled 450. Neither of these should be at 195. So anyway, I want to see what happens though if I run the benchmarks here. So let's see what we get. I'm not going to bother testing the blue SCSI there, although the results would probably be fantastic compared to the reference machine. And I'm not going to check video either because that doesn't really matter. And yeah, but this was the case when I ran the first test. Okay, so this is going to be testing for a second. While it's doing that, let me pull up the screenshot somewhere. The results from when I ran the test before for comparison here. And so this should give you a good idea of the benefit of this card without any drivers or anything. I don't know if it needs extensions or software like the Sonnet ones do. So it'll be interesting to see here. I'm still trying to find the review. There we go. Okay. So the for the CPU test with the original CPU in there, I got a score of 291. And for the FPU, it was 449. So 291 and 449, and then let's see what we get out of this one. Almost there. Okay. So here's the G3 450 right at the top. So that's what we should be comparing with. But yeah, it's not. So here we are at 380, which is, yeah, so this is supposed to be a 180 from the factory, which would compare pretty well with the 6400 180, which would be a score of 200. What I was getting with the supposedly 180 CPU that came with it was 291, which is a huge improvement, but it is a 604 versus a 603. Still, that's a big difference. And then on the FPU, let's see what we're getting here for FPU. Okay, so the FPU is operating way, way, way up here, right by the 450. So 1044 versus 1051. So if this is a G3 450, that's exactly what you should be seeing. I mean, this is what, 7 points different. This is exactly where it should be. And before we were getting 449, so it's more than double. That's great. But the CPU speed, so this is, and I don't know for sure that this test is correct just because it's an upgrade card and it may need something. It may need something else installed. I don't know. So anyway, but that's something. So it does improve the performance. I don't know by how much, and I don't know if you were to install something, if it would. I can only imagine if there is something to install, it would definitely make it better. So there we go. But the FPU, that's a good sign. The fact that that's way up there, right where you would expect it to be for this, for G3 450. That's what you want to see. However, since it said it was running at 499, I think, isn't that what System Profiler said? I have it open. But if it's running at 500 megahertz, basically, then you would expect this to be a little bit higher than the reference G3 450. But on the other hand, the bus in this machine is 60 megahertz, and I think the G3 would be 66. So maybe that makes a difference. I don't know. I don't know how this works that technically. Okay, anyway, unless there's anything else you want me to test with this machine, I'm going to go ahead and shut it down and switch over to the G3. Because that's the one that we haven't confirmed is totally working. But this one, we've got video, we've got audio, we've got SCSI, we've got network, everything seems to work. So that's, I think, a lot better than the initial expectations. And I don't think that recapping was really the solution to everything, because I think nothing that changed really has to do with the caps. I did notice the CUDA reset helped me get it to turn on when it wouldn't before, but again, that's just, I don't know. Yeah. So I guess that, Brian, you had tested that before. So anyway, okay, I'm going to go ahead and shut this one down. And there we go. All right. And we'll borrow that to use on the other machine. And actually, this ATX connector on this board is really tight. There we go. I keep worrying I'm going to just rip it out of the board. It's so tight. Okay. There we go. All right. And I've just, so for this G3, I've just temporarily, I found a dusty Wings card in the, on the shelf over here. So I just stuck that in there so it would have something in that slot. I don't actually know if this machine is expected to work without something in there. Let me switch to the workbench here for a second. So we've got power now. I've set, there's a jumper back right down there that I've switched over from Mac to where it says PS2. And all that does, the Mac version of the power supply, especially because this comes from an all-in-one, which the power supply is more in the form of an analog board. I think maybe it's a separate piece in there, but anyway, the pin for whatever for the soft power from the keyboard is slightly different configuration. So that's what this jumper changes. Everything else works exactly the same. But because of that, I've just switched that. So if by some chance I send it back and it doesn't want to power on with the keyboard, that's why I just fixed that jumper. I'll try to remember. Okay, so I'm going to use my little testing utility pieces here, and sorry, this camera is zoomed in a way that it's not really, it's being cropped the screen, so it's not showing everything. Okay, so here we've got speaker, and naturally the speaker connector on this board is 2 pins, so I'm not going to be able to hook that up, but I don't believe that the speaker's function is in question here, so I'm not going to worry about that. Get the battery in here, which may or may not matter, but rather have it than not. Okay, so we're going to do the power. Oh my God, this power connector is 3. Everything's different pins on here. And the LED has 5 for positive and negative. You know what? I'm not even going to use this. I'm going to just go ahead and use soft power on the keyboard because I don't think this is going to do anything. Okay, and I did replace the one cap on here that was a little bit little loose, and it's quite happy now. So I'm going to give this blue SCSI initially. I just want to do a sanity check here, make sure the computer starts up as is, and then we'll test the IDE. So blue SCSI in. Don't need a floppy. Anything else I need? I don't think so. Plug in the monitor here. And keyboard. Be good. That's the keyboard, and I don't need Ethernet right now. Okay, should be good to go. All right, power supply on. By the way, before I changed that jumper, the symptom of having it set wrong to the Mac style power supply, the symptom was just that we just kept turning on and off like every second or less, and then this fixed it. All right, so let's switch back to the monitor here and power on with the keyboard. Saw the keyboard blink. The power supply fan is spinning up, so I'm trusting there was a chime even though we couldn't hear it. And this one's got a lot of RAM, but I guess it bypasses the RAM test because that came out a lot faster. So everything looks happy here. That's a good sign. And let me grab one of these disk-on modules here. Here. The clock is not set. Well, I don't know if there's a date and time control panel accessible right now. We can see. So this one is this is booting from the same blue SCSI that I was booting the other one from. Okay, let's see if I can go date and time. Interesting. So what's weird is I'm using the same blue SCSI with the same SD card in it, and I'm only getting 2 volumes on the desktop here. Well, 3. And there should be 2 more CD images that were showing up on the other one that are missing here. So don't know what the deal is with that. Anyway, can't set the date because there's no date and time control panel on the disks that it does see. Let's try System Profiler here and just see what it sees. Okay, so this is G4 400 chip in there. It is properly detecting that. That is the benefit of OS 9, that it actually knows what a G4 is. It's detecting 512 RAM. I don't know if that's what's expected. I'm assuming it's a 512 and double 256 is in there. In fact, we can confirm that. I mean, sorry, that would be a gigabyte. And this doesn't support a gigabyte. This supports 768 max, but we've got 2 128s and a 256. So that's I believe expected. Okay. So let's now shut this down and connect an IDE drive here and see what we get. So this one involves a weird kind of power adapter here to make it work. So we're going to find a normal, let me switch to Workbench, sorry. I'm going to use a normal one of these drive power connectors and connect it to this little adapter thing. And then this, oh, that's not very tight. That's the loosest one I've ever seen. That's because it was not all the way in. Okay, and then we've got this little thing which actually powers the drive, this tiny little connector like a little fan. And this is the drive. So it's basically a tiny little hard drive. That's the whole thing, and it just plugs directly into the board. So now I don't remember which is primary and which is secondary. That's J9 and that's J10. So I'm going to assume J9 is primary. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on here. That in there. And okay. And then that's nice and tight. And then let's switch back to the monitor and we will power it back on. Now, the expected result here will be it's going to boot from the blue SCSI because this drive obviously is empty. But if I go back in Profiler, I am expecting to see a drive there. And so this particular disk on module is reported to be compatible with this very, very picky IDE bus on the G3 logic board. So we will put that to the test here and see. I'm not going to totally hold my breath because this has been an ongoing issue that devices that work perfectly fine on literally everything else sometimes just don't work on these. Looks like there's a switch there. I wonder what that switch does. I'm going to guess maybe it's a write protect switch. I don't know. Okay, now that is a very unexpected result because I've still got the blue SCSI plugged in. And it's showing me that it's continuously reading from the blue SCSI. Okay, that's not expected. Okay, just to verify things, I'm going to unplug that. And we're going to go back to blue SCSI the way it was. And let's see if without the IDE, it starts up. And Brian, you can tell me, I think, oh, well, no, you don't even have to tell me. Okay, the blue SCSI is blinking the activity light in a weird and frantic way. You know what? I'm going to do a CUDA reset just because I don't know what's going on here. Where is that CUDA button on here? Oops. I think I would know where everything is on this board by now. And obviously, I'm going to keep banging my head into the camera. It's not very small. Oh, there it is. Okay. Done a CUDA reset. Let's try this again. But what I was saying was I think the when the IDE was plugged in, sometimes it would disrupt even the SCSI from working, which doesn't make any sense at all. Like, why would they're two completely separate buses controlled by different chips? There's nothing in common other than they're on the same board. And it's power's on, but I don't know why I'm not seeing anything because the screen lit up so quickly the first time. Okay. Try reset here. Okay. Turn off the power supply. Turn it back on. This time I'm going to watch when I press the power. Okay, so the keyboard LEDs did come on, the num lock, caps lock, scroll lock. That's a sign that it powered on. Although the spinning fan in the PSU should also be a very reliable indication. I'm going to give it a minute, let it try to start up. But the activity light on this blue SCSI is very weird. Excuse me, something's not right. Let me read the log off this SD card from the blue SCSI and see what it's saying happened. There's no log file. Now that is really weird. There's normally a something is very strange going on here. Okay, try something here. You know what? That shouldn't. Okay, I can see multiple reasons why things may not be working right. Need to leave. There's a blue SCSI INI here that has something in there that, if it's paying attention to it, will make it not work. Okay, let me now check this SD card. Okay, I'm going to reboot this one more time with nothing connected to the blue SCSI. And I just want to see. Still nothing coming on the screen. That's very strange. Okay, let me put this back in now without that. See if it could at least maybe give me a. Make sure this isn't write protected. Let me. I want to see if it'll at least create a log file this time, because that's very unusual. Like, normally, as soon as the blue SCSI has power, it starts writing the log. The way the activity light is going on the blue SCSI is very unexpected. It's strobing. Switch cameras here. So the activity light there, it's hard to see it strobing. Let me turn off this light. So there's the one bright light closer to the edge, and then the one next to it that is strobing. I don't know if it's. Let's see if I can cover that up. So the blue one, yeah, it looks like it's continuously. Actually, no. Now it does look continuously on. So yeah, there's a white one closer to the edge and a blue one. Okay, let's go back and check if there's video. That would be a no. Well, that's very irritating. So the only thing I did since the time it worked was I plugged in that disk on module. But I've since unplugged that. Let me try. I know you're probably not supposed to do the CUDA reset while it's powered on. It just causes it to power off, but do the reset again. I'm going to give it a second here. The reason for not getting video could be something very different than just it's not putting out a signal. It could be in a mode that the capture card here doesn't recognize, or who knows. Okay, power it on again. And I'm watching the light here, but I'm also watching the screen. The light's strobing. It's doing exactly what it did before. Okay, I'm doing Command Option PR here, which after doing that CUDA reset button, this shouldn't do anything that didn't do. But I'm hoping something will come up on the screen. Because this computer is now doing more like what the other computer had been doing, which is quite irritating. You let go of those. Okay, so now the LED is doing what it was doing before. No, the LED is doing normal things now. It's blinking in a very normal way. But it's definitely starting up from there. So why I'm not seeing video, I'm not entirely sure. But let's give it a minute, and hopefully when the OS starts up, it'll reset the resolution or whatever, and that might help. Also, need to just switch over to here. I need to see if deactivate. Okay. Sorry, this isn't meant to be visible on the screen what I'm doing here, but okay. Well, the fact that there's this little box that's clearly a different shade of black than the background, which represents what's supposed to be on this screen. It appears to have finished starting up. The caps lock light toggles, so it seems to be done. Let me see if I can reset the video capture here without losing the device without having to restart Streamlabs here. I'm hoping I don't. Yeah, it's not accessing the video capture right now because the light's not on. So let me try. There we go. Okay, that did fix it. Okay, this was a combination of things though. The PRAM reset appears to have changed something. So, all right. Okay. Now, because I'm obviously I hate myself here, I'm gonna try again with the DOM and see what happens. And try to line up the pins here, make sure I've got that right. Okay. The connector is keyed in the middle, so it shouldn't be possible to plug it in without the pins aligned, but you never know. Okay, so now I'm watching the activity light here on this blue SCSI. And it look okay, well the screen came on, that's a good sign. Now I have a feeling I'm gonna get a blinking disc. I just kind of know that's gonna happen. Yeah. Well, that's annoying. Okay, let me try something else here. So I'm going to remove the SCSI, not that that should matter. I mean, clearly that shouldn't be a problem why that CPU gets warm. And then I'm going to connect, find it first. I'm going to connect the floppy EMU, and since even if somehow the IDE is interfering with the SCSI, it should not affect the floppy. And so I would hope I can still put, even if it's just to the point where it says whatever I've got on the EMU is not compatible to boot this computer. Do I do not have an SD card in it? Where is the SD card? It's not in there either. Oh no. I may not have the SD card. What did I do with, there it is. Oh, this is a different one, but let me see if there's anything on this that is bootable. Okay, perfect. This will work. So I'm just going to get a bootable floppy here. That should support this computer, I think. Downloads. This would be the System 8 disk tools. Mac OS 8. You know what? I bet this computer can't boot OS 8. You know what? Maybe it can. I know it can't do 7.6, but it might be able to do 8. Let me see if I can verify. Power Mac G3. specs. Okay. Shipped with 8.5. Yeah, I think it did. I'm just trying, but it may be able to run some. It's probably not. It's probably got to be at least 8.1 though. Where are we here? Boot OS 9. Nope, 8.0 pre-install. Okay, so the first ones that shipped did have 8.0. So the 8.0 disk tools will work. And what's really interesting about the disk tools is it won't even have the platinum appearance. They actually used some system resources from 7.6, I'm assuming, because it doesn't even, it's not even platinum. Okay, there's something weird about that. Oh, I have to extract this to downloads first. I already have it there. Okay. Okay. Tools 2. Okay, there we go. All right, let me copy this over to this little SD card. And eject. Okay, let's get that into the EMU here. That may not work on the first try because I have to tell it to insert that disk or insert that disk. All right. I'm going to turn my light back on here. Okay. So here, I'm going to turn it on. And the EMU is starting up. In case this is, now it didn't actually stay on. Okay, I was just going to show what this, actually I should turn that light back off. I was just going to show what the EMU looks like when it comes on here. Okay, it does not want to power on. That's annoying. Okay, we'll reset again. CUDA reset. And still doesn't want to turn on. Okay, I don't think it's the EMU. It's not. Okay, can we assume it's this thing? This is the tightest IDE thing I've ever seen. Nope, doesn't like that either. Okay, this is a very new problem we're having here. It just, like the fan, you can probably see it in the video. The fan just barely moves every time I press the power button and it turns off again. What the heck? Okay, let's see if I can figure out which pins do power on. It's those two. So whether I do it from the board or from the keyboard, it doesn't want to power on. So let's start eliminating things here. Oop. Okay. Battery is next to go. Don't worry, that's my card that I'm trashing here. Okay. What the heck is going on with this? It's okay. I've got this narrowed down now. All that's installed is the perch card, the RAM, the VRAM, the voltage regulator, and the CPU. All of which, except possibly, well, some of the RAM on the ROM. I mean, some of this, it should be able to start without it, but I don't think any of these have problems. So disconnect this DOM from the power supply just in case it's somehow, I don't know how that could be a problem. Okay, let's see what happens now. Okay, now it turns on. Let's reattach the DOM, see if it then doesn't turn on. I don't know how that could interfere with it, but okay. I don't think that was the problem. I think I'm going to wait to speculate here. Let's get the DOM plugged back in here. Let me get the see, I'm just sort of glossing over this as though that problem doesn't need to be source of the problem doesn't need to be identified, which of course it probably should, but I don't know how I do that. Okay, now hopefully, let's see what we got. There we go. All right, so there's floppy EMU. It's in Mac mode. No SD card. What? Or card error? Seriously? Okay, hang on. Let me make sure that this card is not in like NTFS or something. Oh, you know what? It's probably supposed to be in FAT32, not exFAT. That is probably the issue. Okay, well, because of its size, it's not easily done. I knew where that other SD card was that I've been using. But I've got such a mess here with all this stuff. Okay, let's do something else. Bear with me a second here. I'm going to go to a privileged command prompt and disk part, list disks, select, OK. Click disk 3, clean. That's gone. Create, let's see, help create partition primary. Create partition primary size equals, I'm assuming this is going to be in megabytes. Size equals in megabytes. Perfect. Okay, so we'll do 8192. Let's make it 8 gigs. Okay, and then disk management. Okay, I'm looking at 8 gigabytes. There we go. It's now drive D. Perfect. So we can get out of there. Let me format drive D. Format as FEMU and FAT32. Quick format. Yes, done. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so now I've got drive D. Now let me put that, find that disk tools again. This was tools 2, and copy that to D. Okay, eject. All right, let's see now. Okay, we're going to restart this thing here, and there we go. Okay, disk tools. So that just effectively inserted the disk. So let's go see what we're getting from the computer. We are not getting any video. Isn't that familiar? And it's not reading it. Okay. Let's try restarting it again. So what we're watching for here is where it says track 00. If it starts reading the disk, you'll see it seeking around to different tracks. And meanwhile, I wish I could see this and the that. Okay. Hang on. What worked before was Command Option PR, so we'll do that again. And I think that worked before. Okay, and okay, let's start it up again. Sorry, I thought this was going to be a lot less difficult than this. Okay, well, at least when I pushed the power button, it came on again. Tools, disk 2, image. And it may be I need to reset the video capture again. But it's not reading this disk yet. And the only other storage it currently has attached is the DOM, which is unformatted. So it's clearly not getting anything from that. Okay, this still isn't reading. Something is weird. Reset video capture again. Cycle it over here. It's scanning for video, but it's not finding anything, I don't think. So what seems to be the common factor when I don't get video is the DOM is plugged in. So Brian, can you remind me, because I just don't remember the details. Did you have this experience where the screen won't even come on if there's an IDE device plugged in or one plugged in that it doesn't like? Is that one of the issues you were having? Well, I'm trying to start. Never had that happen before. Okay. I'm pretty sure that somebody else did, because you were one of two people I know who's been having IDE problems with the G3 board lately. Okay. Still not reading the disk, still nothing coming on the screen. So let's resume the process of elimination. I'm going to pull the EMU because that should not change anything. It's like you said it would give you a blinking question mark unless SCSI was plugged in. Okay, so even if it was having trouble with the IDE device, if you plugged a SCSI device in that had a valid system folder, you could boot up. But then when you went to disk utility or whatever, it might show the disk existed, but it couldn't show you the size or anything. I haven't had a battery in here for a bit, but I did have it boot fine without the battery. I can put it back, but I don't believe that's the issue, especially because I did a PRAM reset. That didn't. I don't think that did anything. But for lack of other things to try other than unplugging the DOM, you go ahead and put the battery back. Okay, and boot CD on the SCSI drive. Okay, but it wouldn't see the disk. So at some point in the past, this computer did see IDE devices, and then it stopped and hasn't seen any since. Is that right? I don't think it's been intermittent. Let's see. Exactly. Okay. I'm going to try one more PRAM reset here. what I would expect is exactly what you said, that I should get a question mark disk after I do the Command Option PR here. So let's have a look. I got to give it a second because I can't, I don't have a speaker hooked up, so I can't tell when it's chiming, when it's doing the PRAM. And also, let's see if it's capture. Okay, it's blinking. It means it's aware that there's something providing input. I think that's what blinking means. Okay, still seeing nothing. Let's try one more time. 3-fingered salute, and that did nothing. Okay, all right. So let's pull the IDE again. Without doing anything else, I'm going to turn it on. Now there's no storage connected, so all I should get is that question mark disk. Come on, blinking disk. At least that validates my sanity here if that does come up. And nothing. And this one usually comes up to a gray screen pretty quickly. Okay, let's see if I power cycle again, Command Option PR. Without the chime, you can't really tell if this is doing it. Like, don't even know. Okay, I'm going to assume that was long enough. And nothing meaningful is happening here. Okay, let me just reset the capture device one more time, just in case that's the problem. Reinitialize it here. Okay, there we go. It's got a blinking disk. There's something. So some of this is the video capture, which I'll just reset it more frequently. Okay, so we've got that. So now let's put IDE back. If I'm not mistaken, so far, don't think we've ever got anything on the screen with the IDE connected, or maybe once. Okay. Let's try out. At least it did that thing where it wouldn't even make the fan spin. It only did that once, and it has not done that again. Okay. So now with that attached, it is coming up, and we're going to get a question mark, of course, because there's nothing on that device, even if it is reading it. Just waiting to see that disk. Mouse moves, so it's not frozen. Okay, I don't know why I don't see the disk yet again. There's nothing connected to the floppy. There's nothing to scan. There's nothing connected to internal or external SCSI. There's nothing to scan. There's a single device on one IDE channel. Doesn't take that long to scan. Shouldn't. Okay. Okay, there we go. So it gave up. Now, turn that off one more time. Plug in the floppy EMU. Turn it on again. Floppy EMU lit up. And I'm going to select that Disk Tools disk. And it is... It came on. Okay, that's something. And we should start up from this Disk Tools disk. I'm watching for it to start reading it. I think it's trying to read the IDE device. The thing is that it should... I inserted a floppy disk shortly after it powered on. That should be the highest priority for boot. So Maybe it has to read this other device and give up first. So I'm watching the move here. But there's no way I should get a flashing disk with. Okay, there. Okay, it is reading the emu. Okay, so at least that's validating that the IDE doesn't interfere with this. It should work. It may be that this is a newer logic board revision, and so it just won't work with OS 8.0. That's fine. Okay. So now let's press our luck. Take the floppy out and put the SCSI in. SCSI in. Right in there, and turn it back on, and let's hope we can continue this lucky streak where the screen actually shows something. So this would be the third boot with the IDE plugged in, and the third time the screen actually came on. So that's actually very encouraging. I'm watching for any kind of disk reading activity on the SCSI. It's not happening yet, but it does seem like it has to try to read that IDE for a while and give up. Which I don't know. It may just be that the disk, it doesn't even have a partition table or a driver. Well, I guess it doesn't. IDE doesn't need a driver, probably. Wait, SCSI, maybe it does. I don't know. It's a Mac thing. Okay. The activity light is on steadily on the blue SCSI, and yet we have that damn disk icon. So it's slightly infuriating. There's power to the DOM, I believe. It doesn't have an LED or anything, but feels like it might be just slightly warm. Okay. Let's just do another sanity check here. I'm going to remove the DOM. Boy, that is tough to pull out. Okay. And we're going to turn it back on here just with the SCSI, which should boot because we've not had a problem with that. Except when the light comes on steady or strobing. Okay, it's looking normal. So it's booting off the blue SCSI, but also I'm not getting any video. Okay, so I'm going to reset the capture. Again, that is totally unrelated to this computer. Okay, all right. So that booted just fine. So we know the floppy and the SCSI work fine. So far, we've not been able to get the IDE to work at all. So the next thing I'm going to try is to put the IDE on the other channel. Should be the secondary IDE. If the numbers screened on the board are meaningful. You would think the lower number would be IDE 0 and the higher number would be IDE 1. Also known as primary and secondary. Should, let's see, blue SCSI is not showing any activity yet. Still not showing any activity. And still not. And I'm still seeing nothing on the screen. Just did reset. Let me set this capture device. Still no activity on the blue SCSI. That is really weird. Okay, let's try. I've turned it off. Let me turn it back on. Okay, so the blue activity light did come on briefly when it first turned on the blue SCSI card, which suggests that the SCSI controller was probing to see what devices it could find, which it only does at the very beginning of boot. Okay, no activity there. I think I'm going to conclude that the IDE is shot. There's no way that dry solder joints could be an issue on both of the IDE connectors and not the SCSI connector that's adjacent to them. The odds of that are just unimaginably small. So I think, yeah, I'm getting nothing. Okay, so if this is consistent, oh, you know what? Hold on. Is that, yeah, it is plugged in. Wait, you know what? That's not even, oh, shoot, that's plugged in. Okay, the key on this, I hope that doesn't mess it up. The key on these things doesn't actually line up. That was off by 1 pin. Crazy. Okay, the key, okay, is this lined up now? Okay, that wasn't even lined up. So, I don't know what kind of weird behavior that would cause. But let's see now. What I get when it is lined up. If I get anything, I think it's going to need to be reset. Okay, let's do CUDA reset. And okay, SCSI is being read, although it's not trying to boot from it, at least not yet. But it did read it in an expected way when it first came on, based on that activity LED. Yeah, it's not doing anything. Oh, no. Okay, now it's reading it while it's doing the continuous light like it did before. Okay, I want to try one other thing here. In case having that plugged in off center was an issue, I've got one more of these modules I'm going to just try to substitute. And just, I don't imagine it probably did any damage to the DOM, but just in case. So let me grab the other one. If it supplied power where it shouldn't or something, it could short out flash chips. I don't know. Doubt it. Okay. So let's try this one. I'm going to make sure it's lined up this time. And I guess I'll try it on this first connector. So I'm really paranoid about getting it plugged in just right. Sorry. Okay. Okay. I am confident that that is aligned. Now let's power. Okay. Here goes nothing. There's power to the blue SCSI. It did the little quick activity light like I expected. And it's reading it while it probed it or something. Not doing anything yet. Let me reset the display here. It's really annoying that I have to do that, but not that big a deal. Okay. So that is not doing anything. So, Brian, have you tried an IDE CD drive with Apple firmware or an IDE zip drive with Apple firmware or anything like that to see if those could be read? As I ask that, I'm looking for, I know I've got one around here. Or I'm assuming it's probably only a SCSI CD drive that has worked. Those are all SCSI. Oh, you know what? Fresh install OS 9, 8 gigabyte IDE drive. Don't remember, you might have a while ago. Okay. This is a correctly jumpered IDE hard drive, a real life, like actual IDE hard drive, with a fresh install of OS 9, according to the label I put on it. So just for fun, I'll try connecting that. Now, of course, I don't have probably an IDE cable here, so I'm going to have to go grab one. I don't see one. Bear with me here. It's just around the corner. And if this drive doesn't work, which I know is a good drive, and I've used it in a 6500, there's not a cable in there. Anyway, I know this drive works, and so if it doesn't work in here, then I'm going to say the IDE is just toast, which I think is kind of what the sort of default conclusion here. Why don't I have an IDE cable? That's SCSI. Everything's SCSI. The narrow floppy ones. Why don't I have one? Should be one in this box. Nope. Lots of drives, zero cables. And here, nope. That's the problem with having such a messy room here. Okay, well, I can pull one out of a G3 as long as this is a G3 and not an 8600, which of course doesn't have IDE. This is a G3. Okay. So, yes, this does have an IDE cable in it. There's two IDE cables in it. Perfect. And there are IDE cables that are known to work in a G3. So it's coming out of a working G3. All right. Okay, let's see what we get here. This is the end for the board. I'm still going on the assumption that the one closer to the SCSI is the primary just because it's the lower number, but not that it should matter. There's only one drive connected to either of them. Then it's kind of irrelevant. All right, and we'll get a power connected to it here. Okay, just gonna disconnect that. Okay, here goes nothing. Okay, the drive is spinning up. It sounds normal. Should be seeing something on the screen by now, so I'm going to reset the whatever you call this thing, capture device here. Not hearing it reading the disk yet. I'm not seeing it reading the SCSI yet. So it's reading the SCSI, but it's doing that thing where the light just comes on and stays on. Okay, I'm gonna do a CUDA reset. That's really the last thing I can try. And it shouldn't make a difference at this point. But I'm trying to be very thorough. And this is a singles. Okay, it's jumpered correctly. Just always good to check the jumpers on the drive. And the drive sounds completely normal, so that's a good thing. I should not have to reset the capture again. But it turns out maybe I do. Yep. Yeah, it's not reading the disk. It should be reading the disk by now. And the activity light just went on steady on the blue SCSI again. Okay, I'm gonna disconnect the blue SCSI. I mean, that shouldn't be interfering because we know the SCSI works fine. Just to see if it can read off that disk on the Command Option PR. I mean, I think you're picking up what I'm saying here is that the IDE is shot. Okay, so that it successfully did a PRAM reset there based on how long it took after I let go of those keys before the screen came on. And I haven't heard even one click out of the hard drive. It's not trying to read it. I believe this is a 24-year-old hard drive. Okay. Well, I think we give up. So the thing to do now is just to verify that that if you were to use a blue SCSI V2 with this, that will work. So I just want to make sure that it doesn't crash like the other computer did. trying to format that volume on there. I just created an 8 gig disk, just normal hard drive image on there, just as a test. That's an appropriate size, I think, for this computer. So let's acknowledge that. I hate formatting a disk before I set the clock, because then the creation timestamp on the disk is going to be weird, but 1956 is what it is. Okay, no crash that time. Okay, that worked nicely. All right, let's do a, let's see what version of macOS this one is. This is 9. I thought I do have OS 8. I just don't know where that's really weird. I don't have the, oh, this just got really messed up. Okay, well, let's see. I want to do 9.1 because this is a G4, and that's obviously going to be more compatible. 9.2 obviously would be better, but I don't have that on this. So what I'm going to do is just like the most basic install I can possibly do. If you've still got the hard drive connected, see if it shows. No, I don't, because I couldn't get it to start up with it connected. That was the issue. Yeah, it probably won't. But I think Blue SCSI V2 is going to be a good option. The SCSI bus on this machine is rather fast, and I was trying to do a custom install so I could install less here. Just see if I can stop it. Also, because these installs often fail. Don't know why. Okay. Let's do that. Okay, and then there we go. Customize. That's what I did. Click. Okay. See, I don't need that. This stuff. I don't know why color sync isn't just part of the OS. Certainly don't need speech recognition. 9.1 customized. I don't think there's a minimal. No. The universal, but there's no minimal. But we can get rid of Apple Guide, Help, READMEs, compatibility, file exchange. I don't need locale support. DVD driver, video. No. Well, I mean, the card's in there, but I don't care. Okay, CD audio. Don't need that. Don't need game sprockets. Don't have a zip drive plugged in. Don't even need open. Well, that's fine. Okay. Network. Apple share. That's fine. Firewire is not even plugged in. Don't need any modem software. It just crashes anyway. Open trans. Oh no, that's not the thing that crashes. It's fine. Don't need those. It's just that file encryption. Oh. Yeah, no, don't need that. Okay, printing. Just trying to make this super minimal. Get rid of everything except laser writer 8. Should be fine. Don't need universal access. It's fine. That. Should just have ATI. That's correct. That. I can't believe this is still an 85 meg install. Okay, I don't need whatever. It's fine. It takes longer to unselect them. Okay, that's fine. I'm just looking if there's anything really big here that doesn't need to be here. Location manager, we don't need. Software updates a little bit useless these days. Haven't been any updates recently for OS 9. Okay, so this should, it says 7 minutes. I would guess more like 3 or 4 because it's flash storage. The one thing that will slow this down a little bit is the fact that the image of the CD and the image of the hard drive are on the same Blue SCSI device, and so it's basically the two drives are sharing the same sort of processing speed. So unless we're completely saturating the bus, then that's slowing it down. But I mean, you can see how far the thing's moved already in, now 5 minutes. So yeah, this is much faster than a physical CD and a physical hard drive could do what we're doing right now. And so if this manages to complete the install without anything failing, and then I can start up from what is theoretically a real, it's still an image, but a hard drive versus a, install CD here. The funny thing is, normally if you start up off the hard drive, it's a lot quicker than if you start up off a CD, assuming, with the same set of extensions and whatnot. But that's because CD drives are a lot slower, especially the latency of going and finding pieces of data all over the disk. But this being solid state, it doesn't have that latency. So it's faster, honestly, to start up because it's, the install CD doesn't have very many extensions to load. There's like 3 icons that come up and it's done. Clear some space for my keyboard over here. When I'm trying to type into the real computer here, I keep using the Apple keyboard and nothing happens because it's connected to the computer being captured, not the real one. And should be getting close. 2 minutes. At least it hasn't frozen. So when I did try, I think from the same disk, I tried installing on the clone, and it froze up at some point during the install, and the mouse still worked, so it wasn't like completely locked. And there we go. It's done. Look how quick that was. Okay. Anyway, so now let's check the startup disk. And we're going to say Macintosh HD. Okay, so now let's see if I restart. We should be starting from the so-called hard drive. Watching. Okay, the light is blinking the way I would expect. Oh, please, come on. That was a soft reboot. The monitor should come back on. That's crazy. That didn't even... Well, that's... Never mind, it is what it is. Just unplug the thing, reset it over here, and there it comes. Okay. But there's OS 9. Not really delighted with the 640 by 480 here, but I bet I can fix it. But I also bet that if I try to fix it, I'll probably have to unplug that thing again. Let's see. Millions. You got that VRAM upgrade in there, so that works. And look at all those resolutions we can get. 1920 by 1080. Would you look at that? I'm not going to push my luck here. We can do 1024. Yeah, I'll be oh, shoot, but that's not a frequency that this capture device will like. 768, 60 hertz. It should be happy with. Okay, now let me full screen here. Okay. It's not great with the capture, is it? Now let's see how that works. Yeah, that looks fine. Okay. So now, I just want to check here a couple of things. One is, I do not have Ethernet plugged in. Oh, I don't need the 2020 patch. This is 9.1. So now I should be able to set the date, and it should be Y2K happy over here. The fact that it defaulted to 4-digit year suggests that it will be. So it is April 22nd, 2024. Look at that. Didn't even try to change it. And it is 8-4. How the heck? It's 8:48. It was off by 2 minutes, and I've pulled the battery repeatedly. That was just some kind of weird coincidence. That was crazy. Okay. Well, that was really crazy. Okay. So anyway, you see now if I can. Why? Oh, this card has several CDs on it. Found new device. Oh, no files. Okay. Oh, they have to be in a folder. That's why. Okay, I hadn't used this utility before. I was just curious what it did. Okay, I was trying to see if I could connect to Wi-Fi through the SCSI Ethernet, but that didn't work. Okay, so now I should be able to go. I should be able. Oh, I don't have the Ethernet plugged in. Okay, but I have no reason to believe the Ethernet's not going to work. So I'm not gonna worry about that. All right. That's all happy. Yeah, so this is looking good. Now, now I've got even one less CD than before. This is weird. They're dropping like flies. But whatever. Anyway, okay. So from what I can see, this computer looks like it works. And looks like it works fine. What I was hoping is that I could find that disk that has the system info. I wanted to run a benchmark. Now, I probably still can if I set my startup disk to whatever it manages to see here. Let's do that. And this should start up faster because it's just the CD that doesn't have a lot of extensions or anything. Hey, I didn't even have to reset the monitor, although that's really ugly. But I didn't have to reset it, so what I can get, I guess. Okay, so what I'm hoping, that background looks like the hard drive, not the CD. And that's way too many icons to be the CD. I wonder if it won't even see the CD now. Okay, that was weird. That didn't work. Startup disk is still set to the CD. Okay, something was really weird about that. I don't know, but anyway, the point is I can play with this more, but the point is it does work. Clearly, it works, and it works fine. So, just as long as you don't use IDE, that's kind of where this computer is at this point. And I know that's a little bit inconvenient in the all-in-one because you can't just randomly swap disks however you want, whenever you want, but physically, I mean, but I don't think is a showstopper. And honestly, because of the tiny size of the blue SCSI, I mean, it's this big. I think you can find somewhere reasonable to mount it, and still give yourself room for other devices. Or, they come with this little bracket if you get it from androida.work. That's the website. And if you get it from him, it'll come with this little 3D printed bracket. You got to be careful. Excuse me, because it's 3D printed. It's not very sturdy. I think it's 3D printed. Maybe not. No, I guess not. Yeah, it is 3D. It was good quality 3D printing, but you got to be careful because if you screw it in, when you turn the screw in here, if you turn it very hard, it'll just tweak the thing and break it off. So if you're mounting it on a sled, just only screw it in just enough that the screw's not going to work its way out on its own, and not any tighter than that. And then you should be able to just put it where the hard drive goes. And of course, you're going to have to figure out how to thread a SCSI cable rather than a IDE cable. But that shouldn't be that hard to do. So yeah, anything else you want me to try or anything else you want to see before I shut this down? Because even though the result wasn't what we hoped for with the IDE, I feel like we've concluded the testing, and the result is it doesn't work, but the computer does, and the workaround is a blue SCSI. So, okay, perfect. All right, I am going to shut this down, and then I still need to test the zip drive. But other than that, I've got everything else recapped. I need to do those 2 other caps on that G3 Accelerate card. So I'll do that, and then I will be in touch, Brian, about getting this stuff shipped back, because I think we're about at that point. So anyway, all right, I'm going to end the stream there, and see you later.